Do you remember the last time you really looked around your kitchen? I'm not talking about wiping the counters or putting away the dishes. I mean really looked. At that cabinet full of old containers, that drawer that barely closes, the shelf with spices older than your grandkids. The truth is, over the years, our kitchens collect things, quietly, slowly, and before we know it, we're surrounded by clutter we didn't ask for, and in many cases, things that are quietly working against our health and peace of mind. If you're like most women I've spoken to over 60, you're at a point in life where simplicity matters more than ever. You want a kitchen that works for you, not against you. A place that feels like home, not a burden. In this video, we're going to talk about 10 things in your kitchen that may be doing more harm than good. But this isn't about judgment or guilt. It's about reclaiming your space, your energy, and your well-being, one drawer at a time. Because clearing out the toxic doesn't just make room in your cabinets, it makes room in your life. Let's begin. 1. Old spice jars. When flavor turns to dust. Let's start with something small but surprisingly powerful, your spice rack. Now, I want you to picture it. Maybe it's a spinning carousel on the counter or a drawer filled with tiny jars, some with labels peeling off. Others you haven't opened in years. If you're being honest, when was the last time you actually checked the dates on those spices? Nutmeg from 1995? Paprika that's more orange than red? We've all been there. But here's what most people don't realize. Spices have a shelf life. They don't just lose their flavor over time. They lose their health benefits too. Things like turmeric, oregano, cinnamon, they're full of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. But only when they're fresh. After a few years, all you're really adding to your food is colored dust. And there's another issue. Old spices, especially if they've been sitting around for years, can attract moisture and even tiny pantry pests. I heard from one woman who said her daughter cleaned out her spice cabinet and found a jar of ground cloves with a tiny web inside. That's not flavor. That's a warning sign. Now, I get it. Some of these jars have been with you through holidays, family dinners, late-night cookie cravings. They hold memories. But here's the truth. The memories stay, even when the jar goes. Letting go of old spices isn't about waste. It's about making room for something better. Fresh flavor, clean air, and peace of mind. So here's a simple step to start. Pick just 5 spice jars today. Open them. Smell them. If the scent is weak or musty, or if you can't remember when you bought it, let it go. Replace only the ones you actually use. And here's a tip. Buy smaller quantities next time. Fresh spices don't need to take up space. Just a little bit can bring so much joy back into cooking. This one small change? It's a powerful start. Because when your food tastes better, you feel better. And when your kitchen feels lighter, so do you. Let's keep going. Aquathum. 2. Worn-out plastic containers, hidden hazards in plain sight. Let's talk about something nearly every kitchen has. Plastic containers. They stack up over the years. Leftovers from takeout, mismatched lids, stained bottoms. You probably have a favorite one that's been microwaved so many times it's turned from clear to cloudy. And I get it. They're convenient. They've been around forever. But here's the truth we often don't talk about. Old plastic can quietly work against your health. Many plastic containers, especially the ones made years ago, contain chemicals like BPA and phthalates. When heated, especially in the microwave, they can leach into your food. And when the plastic is scratched, warped, or discolored, that risk goes up. Even if you can't see it, your food is picking up more than just leftovers. It's absorbing compounds that have been linked to hormone disruption and other health concerns. One neighbor told me she had a drawer full of plastic containers she hadn't touched in years, but couldn't bring herself to throw away. One day, her granddaughter opened that drawer and said, "Grandma, why do you keep all these broken Tupperwares?" That was her wake-up call. She replaced them with glass containers, and the next day, she said, her soup tasted cleaner, fresher. It was such a small change, but it made her feel more in control. And that's really the point, isn't it? At this stage in life, you deserve tools that work with your body, not against it. You don't need a drawer of stained plastic lids that don't match anything. You need a few good containers that keep your food fresh and your family safe. So here's your step today. Go through your plastic. Toss anything that's warped, cracked, or discolored. Let go of the ones missing lids, because let's be honest, those lids aren't coming back. Replace them slowly with glass or stainless steel containers, even just 1 or 2 to start. Look for ones with easy-to-open lids, especially if your hands aren't as strong as they used to be. And for your utensils? Think about switching to silicone or bamboo instead of plastic. They're safer, they last longer, and they won't melt if you forget them on a hot pan. You don't need a Pinterest-perfect kitchen. You just need one that supports your health and your peace of mind. And sometimes, that starts with saying goodbye to the plastic that's overstayed its welcome. Let's move on. 4. 3. Old kitchen appliances. When it still works, just isn't enough. Let me ask you something. Do you still have that coffee maker from the early 2000s? Or maybe a toaster with a frayed cord that sparks a little when you plug it in? We all keep things that still work. But here's the hard truth. Just because something turns on doesn't mean it's safe or serving you well. Over time, kitchen appliances wear down in ways we don't always notice. Rubber seals dry out, plastic parts break down, heating elements become inconsistent, and older appliances were often made with materials that we now know aren't the best for your health or your home. One gentleman I spoke with said he used the same blender for 15 years. One day, it started smelling like burnt plastic. His daughter begged him to throw it out, and he finally did. When he bought a new one, he said he couldn't believe the difference. His morning smoothie went from being a chore to a treat. It was faster, smoother, quieter, and didn't come with a side of melted wire smell. The reality is, older appliances can also be fire hazards, especially if they're left plugged in, or if they've started to behave differently, making strange noises, overheating, or giving off unusual smells. And when your energy is limited, dealing with a temperamental toaster or a slow cooker that takes forever can turn cooking into something you dread. But here's the good news. You don't have to replace everything at once. Just start by paying attention. Is there something you avoid using because it frustrates you? Something that takes twice as long as it should? That's a sign. Your time and energy are too valuable to waste on machines that fight back. Look for replacements that are energy efficient, easy to clean, and designed with seniors in mind. Wider buttons, simpler settings, easier grip. These things matter. And if you're short on space or budget, consider multifunctional tools. An Instant Pot, for example, can replace a slow cooker, rice cooker, and pressure cooker all in one. Decluttering your appliances isn't just about safety. It's about joy. It's about walking into your kitchen and knowing every tool in there makes your life easier, not harder. You deserve that. Let's see what's next. 4. Dull or rusty knives, the silent danger on your cutting board. Let's talk about knives. Not the flashy chef's knives on cooking shows, but the ones in your drawer right now. The paring knife with the loose handle, the old steak knife that barely cuts through a tomato, the one you avoid using, but never seem to throw out. Here's something a lot of people don't realize. A dull knife is far more dangerous than a sharp one. Why? Because it takes more force to use. And when you're applying pressure, especially with hands that may not be as steady as they once were, the knife is more likely to slip. And that's how accidents happen. I once heard from a woman in her 70s who said she had stopped making her famous chicken salad because cutting vegetables had become frustrating and, honestly, a little scary. Her daughter surprised her with a high-quality chef's knife, and suddenly she was back in the kitchen, chopping with confidence. Not only was the food better, but she felt better, more independent, more herself. And then there's rust. Rust can show up slowly, tiny spots you barely notice, but over time, those spots can flake into your food. Not to mention, they're a sign the knife is breaking down. If a knife is rusty, it's not just unsanitary. It's unsafe. So here's your gentle invitation today. Take out every knife in your kitchen. Run your fingers carefully along the edge. If it feels dull, nicked, or rough, it's time for sharpening or replacing. If there's any rust at all, especially near the blade or handle, let it go. You don't need a whole set. You really only need 2 or 3 solid, sharp knives, ones that feel good in your hand, that you trust. A good chef's knife, a paring knife, and maybe a serrated one for bread. That's it. Keep them in a safe place, a magnetic strip or a wooden knife block, and sharpen them once or twice a year. Some local kitchen stores will even do it for free, or at a small cost. Investing in better knives isn't about fancy cooking. It's about safety, about joy, about feeling capable again in your own kitchen. And believe me, once you've sliced a ripe tomato with a sharp blade, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Let's keep going. 5. Old or faded dishware. When nostalgia puts your health at risk. We all have dishes that carry stories. A teacup from your mother's set. A plate with tiny cracks that served birthday cake for decades. A mug that's chipped but just feels like you. These items have meaning, but they can also quietly pose a risk, especially as we get older. Here's the thing about old or worn-out dishware. Those little chips and cracks, they're not just cosmetic. They're breeding grounds for bacteria. Even the dishwasher can't reach into those tiny crevices. Over time, moisture gets in, bacteria grow, and every bite you take off that plate could be carrying something you can't see, but your body will feel. And for older ceramic or painted dishes, there's another layer of concern. Lead. Many vintage dishes, especially those made before the 1980s or imported from certain countries, were glazed with lead-based finishes. When that glaze wears down or cracks, lead can leach into your food, especially if the dish is used for something acidic like tomato sauce or citrus. One woman told me she had a whole cabinet of mismatched, faded dishes that she rarely used, but couldn't part with. Her granddaughter visited one weekend and said, "Grandma, let's just keep the ones you love and use." They picked out 4 plates, 4 bowls, and 2 mugs that felt right, and she donated the rest. She said her cabinets felt lighter, her shelves looked cleaner, and somehow mealtimes felt more peaceful, less chaotic, more intentional. Now let me be clear. I'm not telling you to throw away every dish with a chip or every antique plate. But I am encouraging you to ask the question, is this piece still safe to use, or is it time to let it serve a different purpose? That old teacup can become a planter on the windowsill. The faded platter can be hung as art instead of holding food. And if you do need to replace some dishware, go for something that's durable, lead-free, and chip-resistant. Stoneware, tempered glass, or ceramic that's labeled food safe. Keep your collection simple, just what you use and what brings you joy. Because eating well isn't just about what's on your plate, it's also about the plate itself. Let's move forward. 6. Specialty kitchen gadgets. You never use. Clutter disguised as potential. Let's open that drawer, or maybe that cabinet. You know the one. The one packed with tools you were excited about once, but haven't touched in years. The fondue pot from that dinner party you meant to throw. The pasta maker that sounded like a fun project. The juicer that takes longer to clean than to use. Every kitchen has a few of these. And here's the thing. We don't keep them because we use them. We keep them because of the idea of using them. Because maybe one day, you'll finally learn to make fresh ravioli. Or maybe the waffle iron will come out when the grandkids visit, though it hasn't in 3 years. But when you hold on to too many maybes, your kitchen becomes a museum of intentions, not a place that supports your real life. And as you age, that extra clutter does more than take up space. It drains your energy. It makes simple tasks feel complicated. It turns a joyful space into a stressful one. A woman I spoke with told me her turning point was when she tried to find her everyday blender and had to pull out 5 different unused gadgets just to reach it. That moment of frustration, it became her motivation. She took a hard look at what she actually used week to week and let go of the rest. She said her counters looked clearer, her cabinets opened easier, and, most importantly, she felt relief. You don't have to get rid of everything at once. But today, pick just one thing. That cotton candy machine from a garage sale, the second garlic press, the salad shooter still in its box. If you haven't used it in over a year, chances are you won't miss it. Donate it. Pass it to someone who might actually use it, or recycle it if it's broken. And here's the mindset shift that helps. You're not losing possibilities. You're gaining peace. What stays in your kitchen should earn its place, not in potential, but in purpose. Keep what you use, what makes life easier, and what brings you joy. Let the rest go. Let's keep going. 7. Sponge and cleaning supplies. Past their prime, when clean isn't really clean, let's take a minute to talk about something we all rely on, but rarely pay attention to, the things we use to clean the kitchen. I'm talking about that old sponge by the sink, the stained dishcloth from last Christmas, or that spray bottle under the counter that you don't even remember buying. These items are supposed to help us keep things clean, but over time they can do just the opposite. Sponges in particular are tricky. They absorb water, grease, and tiny bits of food. And if they sit around wet, they become a breeding ground for bacteria. In fact, studies have shown that used kitchen sponges can carry more germs than a toilet seat. And yet many of us hang on to them for way too long because, well, we forget. Or we think, it's just a sponge, I'll toss it later. The same goes for old dish towels that never quite smell clean, or mops and scrubbers with mystery stains that never go away. You're not being picky. Your instincts are right. If something looks dingy, smells off, or feels grimy even after washing, it's time. And let's not forget cleaning sprays. Many of us have bottles filled with harsh chemicals from years ago. Over time, the ingredients can degrade, the labels wear off, and sometimes we're not even sure what's in them anymore. Plus, those strong chemical smells? They're not great for your lungs, especially if you have asthma, allergies, or any breathing issues that tend to come with age. But here's the good news. Cleaning your kitchen doesn't have to involve dozens of products. In fact, many women I know have switched to just a few simple, natural items, like white vinegar, baking soda, and a gentle soap, and say their homes feel fresher, not just cleaner. So today, take a quick inventory. Toss that sponge that's been hanging on too long, replace it with a silicone scrubber or a bamboo cloth you can throw in the washer. Wash or swap out old dish towels, and recycle any cleaning products you don't trust or use. Because clean isn't just about appearances. It's about hygiene, safety, and peace of mind. And when your tools for cleaning are truly clean themselves, you'll feel it. Ready for the next one? Let's keep going. 8. Non-stick pans with flaking coating. Easy cooking, hidden risk. Non-stick pans are one of those kitchen staples most of us have relied on for years. They make cooking eggs a breeze, pancakes flip like magic, and cleanup is a dream. But here's something many women don't find out until much later. Those same pans, once they start to wear down, can quietly put your health at risk. The problem is the coating. Most traditional non-stick cookware is made with chemicals like PTFE, also known by its brand name, Teflon. When those coatings start to peel, scratch, or flake, tiny bits of that material can end up in your food. And when overheated, these pans can release fumes that have been linked to health issues, including thyroid disruption and even long-term concerns like cancer. Now, I want to be clear. Brand new non-stick pans, used carefully, may not be an immediate threat. But the truth is, most of us have one or two pans we've had for far too long. A little chip here, a scratch there. We tell ourselves, it's fine. It still works. But over time, that casual "it still works" can add up to something more serious. One woman I spoke with said she didn't realize how much her old pans were affecting her cooking until she tried cast iron for the first time. She'd always thought it would be too heavy, too fussy. But after seasoning it properly, she said the food tasted better, the pan felt safer, and she actually enjoyed cooking again. So here's a gentle challenge for today. Go to your cookware cabinet. Take a good look at your non-stick pans. If the coating is scratched, bubbled, or peeling, it's time to let it go. No meal is worth the risk of mystery chemicals in your food. If replacing all your cookware at once feels overwhelming, start with just one. A simple stainless steel skillet. A ceramic-coated pan. Or, if you're open to it, a well-seasoned cast iron skillet that can last generations with proper care. You deserve a kitchen where safety meets satisfaction. One where your tools aren't quietly working against you, but helping you nourish yourself and your family with confidence. Let's move on to the next one. 9. Expired pantry items. The danger. Hiding in the back of the shelf. Let's turn our attention to something almost every kitchen has. A pantry. Whether it's a full walk-in, a few shelves in a cabinet, or just that one overstuffed cupboard above the stove, pantries are where food goes to wait. And sometimes, it waits a little too long. It's surprisingly easy to forget about what's hiding back there. A can of soup from 5 years ago. A dusty box of breadcrumbs. A bag of rice with no label, no date, and no memory of when you bought it. The truth is, over time, these items don't just lose their taste. They can become downright dangerous. Canned goods, for example, can swell, leak, or rust if left too long. That's not just a sign they've gone bad. It's a health risk. Spoiled canned food can cause serious foodborne illnesses, which can hit older adults especially hard. And dry goods like flour, cereal, or pasta, if they're past their prime, they can attract pantry pests, little bugs you might not even notice until it's too late. I heard from a couple who decided to do a full pantry clean-out after one of them got sick from a forgotten can of beans. What started as a simple task turned into a total transformation. They tossed anything expired, donated anything they knew they wouldn't eat, and created a simple system. Newer items go in the back, older ones come forward. They said they not only felt safer, but they actually started cooking more because they finally knew what they had. And that's the magic of clearing out the pantry. It's not just about tossing expired food. It's about reducing waste, improving nutrition, and making everyday meals easier to plan and enjoy. So here's a simple step for today. Pick one shelf. Check every label. If it's expired, out it goes. If it's still good but you know you'll never use it, consider donating it to a local food pantry. And going forward, try labeling dry goods with the date you opened them and organizing so you can actually see what's there. Because every time you open your pantry, you deserve to feel peace of mind, not a guessing game. Let's keep going. 10. Chopping boards. Past their prime, where bacteria hides in plain sight. Cutting boards may seem harmless, but over time, they can turn into hidden health hazards. Deep knife grooves trap moisture and bacteria, especially in old plastic or poorly maintained wooden boards. Even with regular washing, those tiny crevices can hold on to food particles and germs. If your board is heavily scratched, warped, or has a lingering smell, it's time to replace it. Bamboo and hardwood boards are great options. They're durable, naturally antimicrobial, and easier on your knives. And remember, having separate boards for meat and produce isn't being picky, it's being smart. A clean, reliable cutting board isn't just a tool, it's part of keeping your kitchen safe and your meals made with confidence. Clearing out your kitchen doesn't have to be overwhelming. Just start small. One drawer, one shelf, one decision at a time. If this video gave you clarity or motivation, share it with a friend who might need the same. And don't forget to subscribe for more simple ways to live healthier, lighter, and with more ease every day. You deserve a kitchen and a life that truly supports you. See you next time.